They said, we don't care about China. We don't care about Russia. We're going to focus on the Western Hemisphere. We're going to focus on the Americas. And it's like, well, you can say that, but we just passed, what was it, like tens of billions of dollars in funding for Taiwan. We have U.S. troops training separatist terrorists in Taiwan. And as we are about to see, the new Japanese government, which is a vassal state of the United States, basically, we have this new Zelensky type figure in Japan. You may have seen in the news that the Chinese are talking a lot of game right now at the Japanese. Now, of course, in the media, they're going to frame this as like, China is so aggressive. Why are they angry at the Japanese? They have no reason to be angry at the Japanese. This is insane. But actually, the truth is much different than that, okay? What's happening right now in Japan with the United States and Taiwan is a part of a decades-long strategy to provoke some sort of a conflict with China. I know that like Rand Corporation or someone put out a new defense vision for the future of the United States. They said, we don't care about China. We don't care about Russia. We're going to focus on the Western Hemisphere. We're going to focus on the Americas. And it's like, well, you can say that, but we just passed, what was it, like tens of billions of dollars in funding for Taiwan. We have U.S. troops training separatist terrorists in Taiwan. And as we are about to see, the new Japanese government, which is a vassal state of the United States, basically, we have this new Zelensky type figure in Japan. They are escalating tensions in unthinkable ways with the Chinese. So let's take a look at what's going on here. Trump recently met with the leader of Japan, Sanae Takaichi, looks up to Margaret Thatcher and vowed to slash social spending in order to boost Japan's military spending so they can help the United States confront China. Sounds a lot like what we heard in the years leading up to the NATO proxy war in Ukraine, right? So how did this all begin? Why is China pissed off? It's a very simple answer. The current tensions were sparked at a parliamentary meeting in Japan last Friday when an opposition lawmaker asked Takaichi what circumstances surrounding Taiwan would count as a survival-threatening situation for Japan. Survival-threatening situation. Remember those words. She said, if there are battleships in the U.S. use of force, no matter how you think about it, it could constitute a survival-threatening situation. A survival-threatening situation is a legal term under Japan's 2015 security law referring to when an armed attack on its allies poses an existential threat to Japan. In such a situation, Japan's self-defense forces can be activated to respond to the threat. The new leader's remarks drew ire from Beijing, with China's foreign ministry describing them as egregious. Then this is where things took a turn. On Saturday, a day after those comments, Zhu Jian, China's consul general in the Japanese city of Osaka, allegedly shared a news article about Takaichi's parliamentary remarks on X, but he also added his own comments that, quote, the dirty head that sticks itself in must be cut off. So I don't even know why it's like, okay, that sentence doesn't even make sense. Maybe it makes more sense in Chinese. But apparently the Japanese got like really upset about this. They said it was highly inappropriate. While the intent of Zhu's remarks may not be clear, I mean, I think it was pretty clear. They're saying like, don't threaten military action against the Chinese. Don't be retarded. They were highly inappropriate. Japan's chief cabinet secretary Minoru Kihara told reporters, like, how does the chief cabinet secretary of Japan not understand that this is like back off? This is a back off sort of comment. We don't really understand what they're saying. I mean, I don't either, but I understand the general vibe of what this Chinese person is saying. Anyways, we also have this. Japan's Prime Minister Takaichi revealed that a China state-backed hacking group embedded malicious firmware in TP-Link routers, hijacking over 16 devices. I mean, this is like what we always hear from the Ukrainians in the lead up to the Russia conflict. We hear this about the Israelis. They say the Iranians are I mean, it's like this is This is always how we get justification for war. They're attacking our digital infrastructure. Of course, we can't provide proof of this, and no one can actually see this happening. This is something that we probably just made up in a lab, but it's really happening, and we need to do something about it today, tomorrow. Give us money. You get the idea here, okay? Now, the Chinese came out and they said this.
If Japan dares to intervene militarily in the Taiwan Strait situation, it will constitute an act of aggression, and China will strike back decisively. China will firmly exercise its rights of self-defense granted by the UN Charter and international law, and resolutely safeguard national sovereignty and territorial integrity. China warns Japan to deeply reflect on its historical crimes, immediately stop interfering in China's internal affairs, cease provocative actions, and not to play with fire on the Taiwan question, for those who play with fire will perish by it.
Look at this retarded Trump person. China does a lot of warning, but when pressed into action, shows severe incompetence. When has China been pressed into action by anyone? When? Like in recent modern history, like what are you even talking about? Yeah, they're not being pressed into military action right now. These are merely wars of words, and they did not budge. They did not budge in the trade war, the first trade war, the second trade war. They did not budge when Nancy Pelosi came flying into Taiwan. They had like PLA jets escorting her flight or something. Like, let's be real here. Let's not be stupid, Trump people. You can be so stupid about China sometimes. The Chinese spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs also said, our message to Japan is clear. Japan must fully repent for its war crimes, immediately to stop its wrong and provocative statements and moves that interfere in China's internal affairs, and stop playing with fire on the Taiwan question. Those who play with fire will perish by it. Now, the reason why the Chinese are upset about Taiwan is because according to U.S. policy, Australian policy, U.K. policy, according to the joint communique, the United States believes that China, the Republic of China, is this. Let me just read. In the joint communique, the United States recognized the government of the People's Republic of China as the sole legal government of China, acknowledging the Chinese position that there is but one China and Taiwan is part of China. There is but one government of all of China, and that government is in Beijing. Okay, Taiwan is not a country. I don't know what these Zionist dipshits, Jacob Hellberg, these Zionist Pete Buttigieg supporter, they try to say Taiwan's a country and we're going to liberate them. Vivek Ramaswamy, the Indian president for Canada, we're going to put NRA offices all across Taiwan, and then we'll see how the Chinese like it. So stupid. So stupid. They want another Ukraine, and this is what they're trying to do to get it. But the U.S. policy officially since 1979 is the one China policy. 1979, U.S. PRC, joint communique. There's but one China. Taiwan is a part of it, and the sole government is in Beijing. What about Australia? Same thing. 1972, Australia's joint communique with the PRC recognized the government of the PRC as China's sole legal government and acknowledged the position of the PRC that Taiwan is a province of the PRC. United Kingdom, like most other countries, does not recognize Taiwan nor maintain formal diplomatic relations with the island. The UK says the dispute between Taiwan and the People's Republic of China should be resolved through dialogue in line with the views of the people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. It has no plans to recognize Taiwan as a state. Now, we can go on and on and on about how the US, the UK, all these countries are again violating their own promises that they made. Shocking. What else is new? I mean, they do this all across the world, whether it's in the Middle East, whether it's in Asia, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Latin America or Africa. It doesn't matter where. This is what they always do. But what is arguably much more important than that is what the actual people in Taiwan believe, what they want. Because in 2014, 87% of the public in the Donbass said that they wanted to become independent. 87% of the people in the Donbass said we want to become independent. And that is now why we have a conflict there, because their rights continue to be trampled on for years. You had 15,000 civilians slaughtered by the NATO proxies in Ukraine over those years until the point where something was done about it. Okay. Now, the people of Taiwan, much credit to John Oliver for getting this correct. This is what they believe about the current state of affairs regarding the official policy of Beijing, which is the fact that Taiwan is but a province of China, and this is the official U.S. policy. Take a listen.
Shown that when they are asked about independence from or unification with China, something like 1.5% want unification with China as soon as possible, and about 6%.
1.5% want unification with China as soon as possible in Taiwan. Okay.
Want independence as soon
5.6% say they want independence from China
as possible. But the vast majority favour some version of sticking with the status quo, at least for now, which does make sense because as things stand,
87% of the people in Taiwan say they want to maintain the one China policy. The official policy of both China and the US, UK and China, Australia and China, which is there's but one government and that government is in Beijing, and Taiwan is not a country. They don't got their own passports. They are not a country. Now, Taiwan, they don't even have they claim sometimes these people in the West, they claim, oh, well, they're independent now from China. Listen to the former leader of Taiwan as to why they're technically independent, as she claims, but they don't have a declaration of independence.
Explicitly formalising the way things are could cause a lot of trouble. It's like meeting your partner's parents.
The reality and what it is now is that we are already a functionally independent country. And we have our own government and we have our own election.
Will there come a day when that reality needs to be spelled out by a formal declaration of independence?
The idea is this, we don't have a need to declare ourselves an independent state, but we are an independent country.
Right. She's clearly declaring that they're independent there, but also very much drawing the line at a declaration of independence. Because she knows that Taiwan explicitly formalising the way things are could cause a lot of trouble. It's like...
And trouble for her own population who doesn't want that. So, there you have it. That's what this all boils down to. I would encourage you to listen to the series of questions, back and forth conversation that I had with Vivek Ramaswamy at a time when he was running for president about this very issue. He's completely ignorant on the issue. He's ignorant about China's strength. He's ignorant about the U.S. Joint communique with China. He's ignorant about the one China policy. And he wants to provoke, Indian. He wants to provoke a war with China, utilizing Taiwan, utilizing Japan. This is not in the best interest of anyone. It's not in the best interest of any American personnel who would be sent over there on U.S. aircraft carriers, because those aircraft carriers are going to sink. If they're lucky, they might make it back to some allied country's port or something like that with a bunch of missile holes in it, and it's sinking as it's coming into the port. This is not in the best interest of the people of Taiwan. The majority of the people of Taiwan, their imports, exports are with, you guessed it, mainland China. This is not in the best interest of anyone who seeks peace, anyone who seeks to avoid another Ukraine-type situation, but much, much worse over Taiwan. This is only in the interest of the military-industrial complex, the Zionist think tank firms like CSIS, funded by the Australian government, funded by the British government, funded by the U.S. government. This is in the interest of the deep state and no one else. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.